Good afternoon, fellas.
Good evening.
Mr. Ward, thanks for coming back on, man. It's been a couple months since we had you on today's bite.
Yes, sir. Always enjoy being on here.
We missed you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is I guess it would be the week before Christmas, and you think of December and the holiday season, it's time with your family, but also it's a great time to go crappie fishing. And we're going to talk about actually some of the December locations and how each of us, because we're all kind of fish different waters, but we're going to see if we see some similarities in each of these lakes and these states that maybe it'll help some of you guys at home watching. And we'll put together a good show anyway. But special thanks for Kayle for coming on here tonight and being part of today's bite.
Thanks for having me on. Yes.
So, we'll kind of kick it off with your today's bite and kind of how you've been catching them over the last couple of weeks, and what are you doing out there in Texas?
So it really depends on what lake I'm fishing. For the most part, here lately, I've been on two lakes. It's either, two primary lakes. That's Bodark Lake and then Hugo Lake. And at Hugo, we kind of got two areas, two patterns. That's one's going up the river and catching them fish up in the river, and then obviously the main lake too. Obviously, Hugo's a muddy water white crappie lake. Up the river, a lot of them fish migrate up there this time. It's the lake's shallow, so getting there is kind of sketchy, hard. With that being said, it's great because the wind can blow 40 mile an hour and it not really affect you because you're way up the river. And the fish, there's a few roaming fish, but for the most part, they're just on the sides, the edges of that river channel, sitting on structure, trees, logs, laydowns, and you just go through there with LiveScope, covering water and see a fish, catch a fish type deal. The lake, they're I don't know why on Hugo, the actual river channel, it's got fish on it, but it's never as good as like the deeper holes or deeper ditches. The lake is similar to Millwood for the guys that's similar. It's kind of a real flat lake, relatively shallow lake, and it's got this deeper ditches and holes, and then fish are in there. Same deal. There's a few roaming fish, but most of them are still on structure right now. Water temperature on that lake's in the upper 40s. I think a few days ago when me and Skylar was there, it was like 46 or 47 degrees. This time of year, them fish always typically get a little bit spooky over there. Not terrible, not Darbone, not Grenada, but they ain't gonna give you all day. And then Bodark Lake is a typical East Texas lake. It's the new lake we got over here, kind of Northeast Texas. And kind of funny thing is all of our lakes are predominantly white crappie is a dominant species. And right now, that lake is right the opposite. It's mostly black crappie, good, healthy black crappie. And I honestly try to stay away from them on every other lake that we fish. But not on this lake. And so they're out on the creek channel, pretty much 30 to 45 foot deep of water, on some kind of structure. I have found some Roman schools. Kind of funny thing, when you do find the Roman schools, it's white. So, it's your white crappie that are actually floating out off of the structure, which is kind of normal with black crappie, related to the structure. I ain't found an open water school, you'll run across one here and there, but for the most part, it's all on structure, and the fish are going to be at the tops of that school, might be 15 foot down. And there's places that some of these schools or the top of the school might be 25 foot down. They're just up and down in the water column, and they're anywhere from 5 to literally 100 fish balled up. And you go through there and just start killing them. It's honestly fishing. It's phenomenal. Now the lake's getting hammered, but it is fishing phenomenal.
That's right. I can imagine.
One thing interesting. And I want to, ask you about it before we get on another subject line or something else. A squirrel runs by and takes my train of thought. But
me for two for sure.
Why do you say normally you try to bypass those black crappie?
So
I think you know the answer. I like to hear.
So here in my part of the world, for the most part, when I say Southern Oklahoma and North Texas, we don't. Our bigger fish are typically white crappie on all of our lakes, which a lot of these lakes are stained or dirty, in which this lake's got what we call that East Texas look, which is like a sweet tea. It's not mud, but it's got a T look. It's stained, but it's not clear, but it's not muddy. With that being said, there's two things. Usually they're the smaller fish and they're the most finicky, non-biting fish. It's not that way on Bodark right now. Like I said, they're the bigger. There's good whitefish in the lake, but right now, if I catch 50 fish, a 2-man limit, we're catching one whitefish and 49. You can go to certain areas and catch more white crappie than that, but if I go there, I'm catching a 2-man limit in 4 hours, or I can go catch them schooled up, balled up, and catch a 2-man limit in 2 hours. So I'm sticking to the schooled up fish for the most part, just because it's easier right now.
I don't blame you there.
But they usually don't bite as good, and like on Fort, we catch a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to catch more non-keeper size fish. And you pull up to the tree, it's got 10 or 15, you might get 1 or 2, and then they're going to quit biting. And a lot of that has to do with how I target fish. I'm a long pole guy. I'm not casting these fish. I'm not pitching at these fish. I'm getting over the top of them. And y'all guys know, a lot of people, I truly feel like a black crappie likes a bait moving horizontal a lot more than they do vertical. And white crappie kind of the opposite, in my opinion. So, you could probably change approach to this, or techniques or presentation, and get a few more of these black crappie on a lot of these lakes. I don't do that, so I'll stick to my white crappie most of the time. But I ain't gonna lie, I'm absolutely eat up with chasing these blackfish on Bodark right now.
Change of pace is always nice sometimes.
Yeah.
What about bait selection? And you're killing it on those descriptions of those lakes, but what about the actual bait selections that you're going into and utilizing right now?
Well, Hugo, you can catch these fish on pretty much anything size wise. Hugo, the other day I caught fish from the 3-inch slab slayer, 2.5-inch slab hunter, 2-inch baby shed, the 1.75-inch live roamer, and then the itty bit mayfly, which is, in my opinion, the smallest bait in our arsenal right now. And literally, that we caught them on 1/4-ounce heads to 1/32 ounce heads. I truly think in that dirtier water right now, for the most part, what I'd call a medium-sized bait, something in that 2-inch range is getting them to react a little quicker. 3-inch bait seems to get them to react too. And for the most part, what I've seen the other day is they would kill and eat a 2-inch bait and a 3-inch bait the same. They were getting it in the back of their mouth. I don't know if it's the tournament fisherman in me or the efficiency part. I tend to always gravitate to the smaller side if they're eating them the same, just to keep from getting some short strikes sometimes. With that being said, if I see them not really hesitate to bite the 3-inch bait, I'll use it. But typically anymore for me, the 2-inch bait's kind of my big bait. A 2.5-inch bait's kind of going to be on my bigger bait side. And unless I just necessarily get there, I'm struggling getting them to react and got to really get their attention, then I'm going to try a bigger bait in the colder months way before I'm going to try something smaller, typically. With that being said, the black crappie has been right the opposite over here on Bodark. You can catch these fish on a 2-inch bait, but the itty bit slab slayer and itty bit slab hunter are absolute dynamite on them blackfish right now. I'm running a little bitty 16th-ounce jig head. Y'all guys know we got some stuff coming that's going to out. I don't know if I can even say that. We got some stuff coming. Playing around with some stuff, but running a little 16th-ounce jig head on them itty bits, and then obviously running a weight above it. I'm running a 3/8 just because these fish are deeper in the water column, or I'm trying to get it on quick. And it's been working great. See, I guess with them black crappie, they tend to like smaller baits. I don't fish for them, guys, to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about black crappie, but just listening to guys and what I've heard over the, black crappie tend to go on they're a little more finicky. I think a little smaller bait tends to work better. With that being said, like the live roamer on them black crappie don't seem to work honestly as good as the baby shed. And I think them black crappie like a little more action right now. They're wanting, and that live roamer I think is great for a roam, but it don't have the action, don't have the tail that some of the other baits has got. And I think I do think that these black crappie right now are lacking a little more action in the bait, which, the water's cold. I think it's 51, 52 over there. But them fish don't act cold. Them black crappie tend to like the cold a lot better.
Are you noticing a difference on the actual bite with the larger profile versus a medium or a small? Can you say, all right, I can actually tell by the bite that I'm using a bigger profile, or is that not really even playing a key in it?
No, I mean, I've had days where they honestly bite anything, and I've had days where the itty bitch surely seemed to really, you landed more fish. Not saying you wouldn't feel a bite or nothing, but right now these fish, the bite's one or two things. I'm dropping them just like we do with white crappie. I'm pulling up on these fish. I'm dropping it on their nose real quick and creating some vibration in the bait. And one or two things: either they're just hammering it and killing it, and honestly hitting it real aggressive, so you don't feel your bite a lot of times anyway because they're hitting it up. Or if they come slow, we're taking it away from them, and they're going to follow it a foot or two and bite it, up in the water column. So honestly, our bites, I feel like a lot of the bites are real aggressive, but the way they're biting, the way we're presenting the baits, the bites is in our hand is not as aggressive as like a springtime thump. It's actually more of a pressure bite or hanging something on the end of your rod type bite versus a hard thump like it is in the spring. But in my opinion, the bite is not that bad. It's just how we're presenting the bait. And then obviously these fish some of them are 30 foot deep. So I think the deeper in the water column you go, a lot of times that you got more line stretch, more of a sponge to your bait, to your line, transferring up to your rod that far. So it's not a hard thump, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that you don't feel the bite or they're not biting. Right now, I'm telling all the clients that they'll watch their rod tip. You see almost every single bite way before you feel it. And of course, everybody's zoned out on LiveScope, but that's the new, obviously what everybody does. But I've been telling everybody, just watch your rod tip, and I promise you'll see most of these bites. And honestly, that's back to what we're almost fishing old school to catch some of these fish, or to feel them or see the bite better. It seems to be working a lot better for me here lately, getting clients to really feel these bites, because I'm fishing fast. Everything I'm doing is trying to drop it on quick, get a reaction bite. If they don't bite, let's get it out of the water, drop right back down there. And they're not going to, if we just drop a jig down there and hold it still above them, they're not just going to come out and hit it. You gotta fish it a little bit.
Now, when you say create vibration to your bait, what are you doing on your actual presentation to have that transferred to that presentation of the bait?
So I'm running 13 foot, actually running the new Jerry Hancock Patriot rod right now. But it's what I tell clients, how I explain it is we want to shake our rod tip up and down as hard as we can shake it, but we do not want to move our bait vertical in the water. We're only shaking our bait to create vibration. I tell everybody, for the most part, what you're actually doing is you're almost popping slack line to create that vibration is what you're actually doing. With that being said, I think a lot of people get wrapped up in shaking it too much or all the time, and which is bad. So I tell everybody, let's wait, let's get it kind of on their nose or right there close, and you're going to shake it real hard for about a second and stop, because what happens, a lot of these fish just annihilate it quick. And if you're sitting there shaking, that fish bit it and you're still shaking, you never feel the bite. So I'd rather shake it real aggressive or hard and stop. And if he don't do nothing, we'll shake it again. But if you get to shaking too much, and I've also felt like I always did this, if you start shaking from that fish and you're 3 foot away and you get his attention, and the further he swims towards the bait, sees it and reacts to it, the odds of catching him goes down. I really want it right here before we get his attention. So he just don't have time to really think about it. He just reacts and bites it out of instinct more so than hunger, I think. And so that's pretty much when I'm with clients. I tell them, let's shake at first, just wait. I'll tell you when to shake it. And I want you to shake it real hard, but don't bounce it. It's just a vibration, a rattle in our rod tip. And we're going to do a little bit, stop. If we got to do it more, we'll do it more. But at first, just little short pauses and try to kind of let the fish tell us what they want, obviously too.
I always hated the terminology jig because right when you get into crappie fishing, you think, all right, I've got to jig this thing up and down almost like a spoon or something, and moving it, 2, 3 foot at a time. And, the A to LiveScope, and I wasn't a big, single pole fisherman pre-LiveScope era by no means. But your thought process when you're getting into the sport of crappie fishing, you say, all right, I'm going to jig fish. And you're thinking of moving it up and down a lot. And I know, just like you're describing there, I can see the pole, I can see the bait and how it's reacting. But, you move it up and down, it's not really natural. That trembling, shaking motion of that bait is what's making that fish react and come annihilate.
The word jigging is probably the biggest misconception in crappie fishing that we've ever heard, and I've had customers say, well, why do they call it a jig if you don't jig it? Well,
right.
Jig is a lure you look in the bass world, you got a swim jig. You don't bounce it up and down, you reel it, and you got, football jigs and stuff you drag on the bottom, you got structure. There's the word jig is just a term for a bait, not necessarily I got to go up and down with it to make them bite it. And one thing I try to tell everybody is if you think about it, there's nothing in the water that goes up and down. There's nothing natural that goes up and down the water. Everything swims horizontally, and so if you start raising your bait up and down, typically a fish is going to start realizing, unless they're just super, super aggressive, they tend to going to want to either turn away from it or be hesitant about biting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that terminology was definitely I don't know if it was a selling thing or just it fit the description of the bait, but that's definitely one word I wish we could erase from crappie fishing is jig. I wish we'd have named just lure, or a trembler or anything besides jig. Because I'll be honest, when I started crappie fishing 20-something years ago, and I'm thinking, all right, I've got a jig, I'm going to have to jig it up and down. And guys, if you're getting into crappie fishing, that's probably one of the worst things to do is actually bounce it up and down in the waters that I've fished anyway. I mean, some other lakes, it might be the best way to catch them, and, there's no doubt about it. But in my terms, I just don't happen that way. Those fish don't react right. They won't commit, and like I said, they'll just leave because it ain't natural. But another thing I didn't hear a while ago was colors. What some of the good colors that you've been using over there?
Well, to be honest with you, I've about used a little bit of everything lately, especially on Hugo. I don't think it's been as important. I've caught them trying to think on almost everything. With that being said, at Bodark, I've been sticking to natural colors, monkey milks, live minnow, trying to think some more color, went blank. It's the one that's like a tin full. What double silver rainbow, that's what I'm talking about. Double silver rainbow, blue ice, a bunch of just the natural bait fish colors more so than anything. They tend to work better. I mean, I have run some white chartreuse and run hummingbird a little bit the other day, and some of the itty bits. I had about a 4 or 5 day window, and I really don't know. Man, and Skylar, I've asked him 100 times. Outbreak, the jig Outbreak, which is the kind of green pumpkin watermelon fleck that I think's coming, or maybe in places it's coming in a pack or whatever. Man, that brown, which I've always said browns and blacks are great, black crappie colors, but we hammered them on the 2-inch baby shed and the Outbreak for a little bit. But
I don't think I
do what now?
I don't think I know that color.
Well, it's I think Skylar said it's coming in a pack deal. I don't remember. I may be saying way too much probably stuff I probably shouldn't be saying, but it's a color. He brought me some back in the summer, and he brought me some more the other day. But it's like a watermelon red, kind of just like the bass lures. I'm pretty sure it's Outbreak's what he told me it was going to be called. But it's just a, good natural brownish colored bait. Like I said, a watermelon red, similar color, but it works. I mean, it works good too. So, like I said, they're there for about a week. I was reaching in there and using them almost exclusive.
We're at 247 people watching right now between YouTube and Facebook. Appreciate every single one of you that's taking the time to watch today's bite with us. Got 125 thumbs up. So guys, see if you can help us out. If you hadn't hit the thumbs up, the like button yet, please do so. Helps us out more than you can even imagine. Also, special thanks to Bobby Growing Baits for putting on today's bite. And another thing that I wanted to mention kind of in the beginning, and I'm going to mention it again later, just to remind everybody, next week, this would actually be Christmas Eve. So we're going to move it up a day early. I asked everybody on today's bite last week, and it was pretty one-sided, I guess you would say, that we're going to actually move it up a day and do today's bite next week on Monday night. So actually, you guys only have to 6 nights before the next today's bite, but we will be moving up to next Monday night, 7 o'clock, same time as usual, just a day early. But I got a question on YouTube. Guys, if you've got questions, we got a good guy here tonight that's going to help us out and spill out some truth to you. But what's the trick on staying with schools of crappie? And he says, I was on a big school for a week. Now they moved. What's the trick on staying on big schools of crappie like that?
Well, this time of year, at least on the lakes I fish, more than likely they're not moving up the lake. They're going to be moving back down the lake, and they're going to be traveling some kind of probably contour change anyhow. Creeks, channels, ditches. That's the stuff. So, based on where you found them fish or was on them, I would start gravitating towards the dam, down the lake, along creek channels, ditches, any kind of deeper contour. It may be the same depth of water you just catch them in, but they've moved a half or quarter mile down the lake or maybe even further. And here we just kind of had one of our bigger cold spells. Water temperature dropped a lot more. So them fish may be where you found them instead of on the edge of the creek channel. They may be right in the middle of the creek channel and just drop down in the water column, another 10 or 15 foot. It really just depends, but that'd be the first thing I'd start looking for.
Also, I would think even on that same question is, did current come in the lake? And guys, that you watch the show, I'm a big fan of current, especially in the wintertime. Did you have a lot of rain? Did the current kind of move those fish to another area to get out of the current? Or did the current slack up and gave them opportunity to get back in some of the areas that they were before the current starts? So look at the current, especially if your lake has a waterway that really sheds water into it. So current would be a good area to kind of keep in mind when you're looking for those fish, where they could have possibly moved. Dustin, I'm going to get you awake tonight.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not used to this.
I hear you. No, I would say this time of year I stay around the creek channels and channels as well. The fish start suspending, but the weather can definitely move all that. If they don't get out of the channel, they'll go on bottom sometimes, and you think they completely left, but sometimes they're just crawling on the bottom. So I still stick around the channels and the river channels, creek channels this time of year, even if the water fluctuates a little bit. But like Brad said, you get out of the current and you may find them, but I still would look in a channel out of the current, if that makes sense. A back, but yeah, I definitely do the same type of stuff.
Kayle, I know this is a great question. I want to ask you as well. I can't do it personally, and I can tell, I guess, depending on where they're located, but can you tell the difference between white and black crappie on LiveScope just by the picture of the fish?
Not unless I just know the pattern. Like at Fork, kind of give you a rundown. You may be going down the creek channel and you see a single fish by itself. I'm not saying it's 100%, but there's a percentage is going to be a white crappie. If you're going down there through there, a lot of your black crappie always on Fork, not always, but a lot of times they're going to be higher in the water column on that tree. So if you got 10 fish up high and then 2 fish sitting down low. A lot of times fish down low is going to be white crappie, fish up high is going to be black crappie. And then, but it's typical, like most of the lakes we fish, if I roll, at least right now, if they got black crappie in them and I roll up to a tree and there's 20 fish balled up, pretty good odds they're going to be black crappie, because our white crappie just ain't going to school up like that. But as far as being able to see one fish here and one fish there and know the difference, absolutely not. I can't tell you.
I can't either.
Only thing I think I can tell difference is the schools. Like on Grand Lake, like this time of year, if you see if the fish are schooled up, it seems like they'll be in different, I guess, bundles. Like in Kansas, there's a lake. Like if you see schools of fish, it's going to be black crappie, and then the singles on stumps or roaming are
white.
Mainly going to be whites. So, and then like there's a couple of lakes that I fish too where if they're paired up or like 3 or 4 together, the way they react to the bait, you can tell they're black crappie before they bite it, but I can't really tell on the LiveScope before I go up to catch them. But they seem to react different sometimes.
Yeah, I would think location's the biggest way that I can kind of tell in how they're sitting on structure, if it's more likely to be a black, and they have all fooled me either way. I'm like, all right, that's probably a black crappie, how they're laying up underneath this log a little tighter. And I see more white crappie suspended. So then I would feel like that's probably a black crappie, how he's sitting. And for me anyway, most time those black crappie are dug into the structure a little bit tighter. That's just a general out deal. But Billy Boykin is asking, he said, what's some good tips on locating these black crappie?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, I mean, you probably talked to what I would consider some of the best black crappie fishermen in the lake or in the United States. They're going to probably tell you, get on side scan and go to, you see these schools of fish sitting on side scan. I don't do that. I mean, mainly because I'm not good at it. I don't do it. I haven't I cut my teeth catching individual fish for the most part. And, fishing brush pile, so I can read side scan, I can see fish, but I'm not good enough to idle and be out right there to school and drop a trolling motor and catch them. So what I do is I put the trolling motor down. I know they're on creek channel. I know they're on structure. And if I'm wanting to look at schools, I'll dial out 70 foot roughly and put the trolling motor on high and go and just sweep until I see a ball of crappie. And then one thing I've noticed, at least on Bodark, if you find them there, you mark them. Now, they may not be there every day, but generally, if there's a reason that school of crappie picked that spot a lot of times. If they're really schooled up, I'm not talking about 2 fish or 3 fish or whatever, because there's a lot of pieces of structure. But if you find a piece of cover holding 50 fish, there's a good chance there's something good about that piece of cover that a lot of fish want to be on it, and you waypoint it and double check it. So like now, all I'm doing is I'm running waypoints. I mean, I've got 40, 50, 60 spots that there could be a school on. And usually if I go check 4 or 5, I'm going to find 2 or 3 schools and we're going to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty simple. There's other ways to catch them. I mean, you can get out there and catch, singles and 2, 3, 4 fish out of, other timber as well. But I guess the guide in me here lately. And the great thing about that lake is it don't matter what you do, the quality's the same. We're catching 1 to 2 fish under 10 inches a day. And for the most part, every fish is going to be between 11 and 13 and a half inches, probably on the big side. Pound 40, pound 50 fish on scales. Just good, solid, healthy black crappie. And for the most part, if they aren't 11 and a half inches, I've just been throwing them back. I mean, because I feel confident in catching 50, or even 75. I should knock on wood, guys, because I've been blessed. I haven't had a day on that lake that I haven't caught a limit. I mean, I was catching a couple of days. I was starting at 7 o'clock, and I'd be back on the trailer before 9 with a 3-man limit.
That's wild.
It ain't quite that good now. It slowed down a little bit.
Caught all of them.
I may have, but I promise I ain't caught all of them. There's a ton of fish in this lake, but kind of a little bit on this lake. I don't have no history. I mean, this lake just opened up to us in April. This is a brand new lake. Nobody really has any history experience. I mean, everything I don't even have a map of the lake on my boat, if that tells you anything. There's now, you can download it through Active Captain or whatever, but I've just been lazy and haven't done it. I found the creek channel, on my graph and run it and mark stuff and just old school it almost. And now just know areas, and that's pretty much
awesome.
how I've been fishing it.
And you said it was pretty busy. You're seeing a lot of boats on it now.
Yeah, and it's because it's fishing so good. I know. I mean, most days you're going to see 5 to 30 LiveScope crappie fishermen on it every day.
Yeah,
but everybody's catching fish. I mean, that's why. I mean, everybody I'm talking to seeing at the ramps. I mean, literally everybody's catching them. It's not fishing that hard, and I guess I mean,
good fish.
Any really big fish like two?
So I've caught 2 hybrids. I caught a 251 hybrid there, and I caught I think it's 202. Both of them were hybrids, so that I caught. Caught some 170, 180 whites and blacks.
It's a good
170, 180s. As far as the whites or blacks, about as big as I've caught.
Does it have a size limit?
10-inch minimum, yeah.
Got you. Perfect.
25 a person.
He's asking, and we all can go through this question if we like. But he's going to replace his trolling motor batteries. What is a dependable lithium battery? For me, I would definitely tell you to look up the mad scientist lithium batteries. A good buddy of mine. I don't think you can create or even claim to have a better customer service than this guy's got. Michael Sylvester, great guy to do business with. You won't be disappointed in his batteries either.
That's kind of like fishing rods. There's a ton of great rods that work for everybody. It's kind of like the lithium world. I haven't really heard bad about very many, so I don't really go towards one. But I have Miller Tech in my boat, and I love them. They work great. So I think it's a preference, and then customer service goes a long way. So if Brad's got a guy with really good customer service, that's tough to beat.
Yeah, I agree. Pick you out a battery that's got good customer service. I mean, with lithium. I mean, knock on wood. I've had one battery go bad in 3 or 4 years, and I've on 3 boats. I mean, I own 3 boats all running lithiums right now, and I mean, I think my Ranger's got 6 or 7 lithium batteries in it. So, with that being said, I've had one battery go bad. With that being said, this is just my opinion. I don't think you got to pay top dollar though to get. To be 100% honest with you, I'm running an Amazon battery in my Ranger, and I've been running it 6 months now, and I ain't had an issue. So I've kind of I wanted to go the cheap route and see if it was much of a difference. So far, it hasn't mattered. But with that being said, I also don't know if I have a battery go bad, if I'm going to be able to get it replaced either. So.
Yeah, and like I said, look him up. Customer service is out of this world. I actually asked him a question last week about a lithium battery and texted him then. In 3 minutes, he answered even on the live stream here. But Daniel White, he's asking, on Barnett, the whitefish roamers tend to disappear at times in the winter. Then they show up a week later. Where are they going? Daniel, I would first say is probably dependent on current. Current on at least the Barnett, I can tell you, they'll literally move in a couple of hours if it's to get out of current. Now, when that current kind of dissipates, it takes them a little bit longer to get back where they were before. But if current kicks in, those fish are being exposed to that current. They're going to leave really quick. They're not going to hang around. So I would think probably the first thing I would think is currents making them move somewhere or another. And it could be even bait. I mean, if you go in an area and all of a sudden it's a ghost town, there's nothing for them to eat in that area, they're probably going where the bait is. But I would say current would be the first thing I would check out. I'm always about current.
Brad loves that current. Yeah, it's all about that current. Carl Dearman asked me about Grand Lake. I haven't been to Grand Lake in a little over a week, so I can't really say what the crappie are doing, but I'd imagine it's pretty dang tough bite. They get real deep and lethargic and kind of spread out, but it should change soon. They'll start schooling up around January, and things should start getting good. So just really, we need consistent cold weather. That's what we need.
Gabrielle's asking, he said, a LiveScope, the LVS 32 or the 34 for finding crappie fast, which one would be fast to find crappie with? The
Probably
32.
finding them fast, probably the 34, because I think you can dial that further and you got more target separation.
Yep.
That's what I would say. 34 as well for finding them.
34 for me.
And you can catch them with it too. But finding them, it's a lot clearer looking way out.
Brandon Thomas, he's saying that river fishing is on fire right now.
I bet he's whacking them. I seen he gave a fishing report earlier, Brandon, but I lost it through the comments. But I bet he's tearing them up. I would imagine on Lake Hudson, but never know. And I wonder, Brandon, is it the river that we fish together last year, or is it a different one? Because I need to know those things, buddy.
You need to know.
I need to know. He's my scout out there. He catches them all day, every day, though.
Steve Reynolds, he's asking, do you guys transport your long rods broke down or leave them put together, and why? For me, Steve, once I put that rod together, I don't ever break it down. And luckily enough, I'll have a, 18 foot or 16 foot or whatever poles I'm really using. I'll just have them out the back of the boat, and I'll transport them every day, just hanging out and fishing the same way. I never break down my poles once I get them. What about you guys?
I leave a couple of rods broke down in a rod box in case you break one or you need to change different lengths or whatever. If I'm not using it, but what rods I'm using, which is generally, you'll never see generally more than 3 rods on my boat out at one time, and they stay strapped down on the front deck and just laid there like any other rod. And I don't change. Unless I gotta get a longer rod out or whatever. I'm all about trying to stay. I don't know. I try to keep the same rod lengths and what we're used to, all the same. That way, with me, I know exactly where to drive up, exactly where their bait's going to drop on the screen, repetitively. So I don't change a lot. I run the 13 footer 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
What are you using, the Patriot now?
I'm running. Well, I still run the Trident some, but the Patriot, yeah, more so. That rod just balanced a little bit lighter. I think that vibration, that shaking I was talking about, being a little softer tip, so a little bit harder to get a lot of that vibration without moving it up and down. But just talking to the customers, they say the Patriot's a lot more sensitive to them and a lot easier to handle in their mind. I guess maybe because it's a little bit lighter, got a little softer tip, a little more sensitive rod. I think they're both great rods in my opinion, but I'm running mostly the Patriots right now, but I've got some Trident. I think I got 2 Patriots and 1 Trident on the front deck right now is what I've got.
I like the 13 and 15. I've been using the Patriot a lot though, but I leave my long rods. I have 2 on the boat and I leave them laying there as well, the same. And then I don't even have any in the rod box. So if we break 2 rods, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but
really
I do
bad.
have 1 for backup. But if you break a Huckabee rod, you did something.
Got a long line report. Long line is still kicking too. Tim, he's
Brad, come on now. I'm just joking.
22 big black crappie pulling double 1/4 in 22 to 24 foot of water. They are deep, he said. Eclipse, which eclipses that natural tone kind of color as well. That I absolutely love that same color. But was his color of choice or the bait of choice that day?
Wesley Miller has a good question. He said, okay, guys, this week I fished 3 different lakes and have cleaned a bunch of fish. 4 out of 5 have been males on all the lakes. Any opinions on where the females are?
I'm surprised they're not together. Maybe those are just
That's
a finicker.
Yeah, let me think of a good theory for that, and then I'll get you guys to laugh. I'm just teasing.
I don't know where they're at. I can't answer that, but I will say 75% of my bigger fish I'm cleaning on Bodark right now are all males, which tells me, it's, I would think there would be some females as big, if not bigger, in there somewhere. I haven't found them and caught them. Lots of males though, same deal. I'd say I'm definitely cleaning, unlike the spring where I feel like I clean 80% females. Right now, it's right the opposite. It's probably 70-80% males and 20%
Man,
females.
now you guys got me really thinking, what the heck's
Yeah.
going on with the females? Because if you're doing it too, there's something up this time of year
Yeah.
then with where the females
Now
go. They've got
that's
to
on
be.
Bodark. I can't really
Yeah.
say that on.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean, I feel like it's a
Squatch said
even
he's
mix
fished
probably
4 or
on
5
Hugo.
different lakes. Okay. Huh. That's crazy. And he's
Yeah,
fishing a lot of blackfish too. So that's crazy.
And I
I
think
know.
Wesley's is mainly schooled up fish as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
Schooled up
something to
blackfish.
do.
Maybe those big females are just around roaming, but I mean, you would think you would catch little females too. So that's crazy. That's a biologist question, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
that
wild.
is very interesting.
Yeah. So it's the rut and the females are hiding. That's what somebody said here.
Could
Reggie
be.
Owens said, that's a good point there. The females are done hiding. Yep.
Jesse
When I,
Meadows, he said, "Call limit this afternoon. All blackfish, 8 to 16 foot of water, suspended, 6 to 12 foot deep. Open water temp was 40 degrees. Caught mostly on a 16th. The original baby shad, Southern Ohio. Appreciate that report."
Natural State Fishing, Eric, he said that it's very interesting because he's been cleaning mostly females, being the blackfish in central Arkansas. So it must be, they're definitely separating themselves. Just wonder why. It's crazy. Where are you finding the females, Eric? Natural State? Let's just hear that. Maybe he's going deeper or doing something different. Who knows? Yeah, exactly. Zeke Anderson says, Wesley, it's like a junior high dance. They separate themselves. That's right. And I
Anybody
noticed
got
there's,
you follow or Kerr Lake? Brian's asking.
oh, I bet we have some Eufaula fishing reports for sure. I'm not sure about Kerr, but I bet we got some Eufaula guys in there. I've noticed the females are really holding eggs serious around here. Are you guys cleaning some with good full eggs?
Oh, that's what's crazy. That's what I about said that a while ago.
Really?
Honestly, down here, our egg sacs are still teeny, teeny, tiny. I don't know why. I mean, I'm talking about like tips of your pinky finger. I mean, they're little.
That is crazy.
Now,
I'm cleaning them bulging, veiny, already that big. I ain't kidding.
well,
Just
I
full
mean, I
steps.
feel like I should be too, but I'm not. I mean, I really ain't. It's they're just smaller egg sacs. I'm sure if I was at Fork, I bet they'd have bigger egg sacs. But uh,
Jerry said he's seeing a lot more females on Fork right now.
yeah, I mean, Fork's a different animal. I mean, they're catching a lot of bigger fish right now, and I mean, them
Give
fish will
Jerry
be.
his credit.
You'll probably have fish actually spawning down there. A few. I mean, I'm not saying the majority. I'm just saying a few fish starting to spawn by the 1st of March. Uh, it's not. To be honest with you, I mean that lake's about to fish are about to actually start pushing in the next. I don't know. It's what almost Christmas, so
Yeah.
another 30 days, you're going to have fish starting to think pre-spawn already down there.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, honestly though, if I was a crappie, since I became a dad, I think I'd be mistaken as a female when I got pulled in the
Yeah.
boat. I'm not gonna lie. Until they clean me, they would say, "Dude, look at the size of the eggs in that booger." Then they'd see that black dot around my butt. my
Yeah,
butt.
we ain't checking it out.
Oh man, there it was. I had to get something in
No,
there.
no. Alan on YouTube, he said, "Hey guys," he said he put 30 in the boat on Darbone today. Released 30. Bobby Girl and Monkey Milk, Blue Thunder, Pinkhead, 12 to 15 foot of water, edge of channel. You heard that. Had to hold it still in slow presentation, hanging tight to structure. Great report there.
Hats off to that guy. Anybody wants to fish Darbone, they can have that lake. Anybody
Well,
can
why
catch
You
not?
have
anybody
that
that can
lake.
catch 30 fish on that lake deserves an award in
Oh
itself
yeah,
right there.
man, that ain't no light. Hey, if you can catch them at Darbone, you can catch them anywhere.
I promise you. I say all the time. The Darbone Lake guys that fish Darbone Lake ought to be the best crappie fishermen in the world. That's
Mhm.
that's a tough one.
They say certain times of year though that lake's just on
I've
fire.
heard the same thing, but
I've never seen it.
I've never
I've
seen it.
never seen it. I've
At
been there
least
2 or
where
3
I fish
times.
at, they don't. The where I've always been at, they don't act like that.
Oh yeah.
Ricky's asking, do you guys ever use glass beads to help create noise and vibration?
It's a good question, but I do not. I never actually do.
I have some, and I thought it helped, but I don't know if it was the difference or just, that mindset. Hey, I've got this on, just kind of like scent will do sometimes for you. Is you added it, and all of a sudden you catch a fish, and it's like, oh, that worked great. I'm gonna keep doing it. So, who's to say? It's one of those things. It would be interesting to have one fisherman on the right side with a glass bead and one on the left without, just to kind of really break it down to say. But I think it kind of goes back in that confidence. If you have a little bit more confidence putting a glass bead in your bait, go for it.
Yep. And a slab tickler is another good one when you're doing that little steak. I've gotten extra bites with that. That's more of a slab.
How deep do black crappie have to be to single pole clear water? He said with a 14 to 16 foot rod, black crappie, single pole clear water. Man, that's a tough one right there, I would think.
Man, you would.
It depends on the lake. I mean, that's easy. It depends on the lake, but I mean, I truly feel like Table Rock don't get much. It don't get much cleaner than Table Rock, and them fish were in 30 to 40 foot of water. 10 to 25 foot deep, and I was catching. I did catch some casting, but I caught a lot of my bigger fish long poling at Table Rock in that clean water. I mean, I'm better at long poling. I ain't a caster, and I felt like if I cast it, I could get them to come out and follow it, and I'd catch some small ones. But if I run up there real quick and drop the bait on their nose, I may only catch one or two out of that school, but I could usually feel like I could pick out a bigger one sometimes that way.
Well, I've also learned too, like you can cast in a way, like pitch a 16 footer, and you can get that bait 20 to 25 foot out there pretty easy. So it's almost like casting a rod, but you can let like 16, 17 foot of line out and pull some line out, if that makes sense. And you can pendle it past them, kind of like you're casting to them. Like you can stay off the fish and catch them that way too. It's kind of like a half cast, pendulum toss to them with a long rod, a 16 footer. So I would try that too. If you really wanted to use a long rod and wanting into the casting deal, you could do pretty good doing that.
Ultimately, it depends on the fish, though. I mean, the lake. I mean, I can see them biting like crazy, don't matter how you present it, and I can see them being locked up, no matter how you present it. So,
yeah, that's very. And I'm reading that back through some of the comments. Some guys are catching more females right now. Some guys are catching more males. That's a hard one. I haven't noticed anything like that in the last couple of weeks. And I've been busy with other projects. I haven't fished as much as I normally do, but I'm definitely going to take special note to that. And guys, if you're fishing this week, see if you're kind of picking up on that pattern, catching more males this week or the locations you're at. And let's see if we can even dive back into this again, because that's very interesting about catching more males or catching more females right now. But I want to, you guys that are being able to fish this next 4, 5, 6 days. Let's talk about it next week again on Monday night. And just a reminder, I told you guys I was going to bring it up again, but today's bite will not be next Tuesday night, not Christmas Eve. We're going to do a Monday night special. And the same thing for New Year's Eve. We're going to go on Monday night as well. So the next 2 weeks will be on Monday night instead of Tuesday night. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Throwing a loop in us. We haven't been on our Tuesday night schedule in a while.
It's been crazy, man. I had a duck hunt last week.
I hear you. Hey, here's a good question, Kayle. You'll like this one from Jacob Waterman. He said, one day to pre-fish a tournament, you got a winter pattern, and you've never been on the lake before. Where are you starting in reference to the dam of a lake?
So if it's me, this time of year, at least on every lake that I generally go and fish, or I don't know the lake. If I don't know having a history, I'm going to do everything in my power to cover from the dam. I'm going to start at the dam this time of year, and I'm going to work up the lake, but I'm going to run and gun the creek channel and spot check. And then once I figure it out, I mean, if that means moving, depending on your size of the lake, if I'm checking, I may check every mile. I may check if it's a smaller lake, I may check I may try to stay on the trolling motor from the dam all the way up the lake till I quit seeing fish. but I'm going to run the creek channel, run the edges, run the middle of it, and see if I can figure out if they're in the middle of it roaming, or if they're on structure on the edges of it. But one thing with me, you're not going to see me get, especially this time of year, I'm not getting very far away from that creek channel. And I've always felt like if there's fish on secondary channels, they're on the main creek channel too. Cover enough water on the main creek channel, you got to find them.
Yep. Mr. Charles Henderson, he asking, can you tell the guys at home the difference between male and female crappie? Just by looking at them.
I can't till I clean them. I mean, I mean, sometimes I feel like the females have got a little more belly, but sometimes you take a male that's just ate a big old shad and he's bellied up too. So till I clean one, I really can't tell you. There might be a way to tell, but I've never really looked or tried to tell till I clean them.
Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody knows that in the springtime they're going to start. The males are going to color up and get darker black and as such, but just pre-fishing tournaments, everybody wants to go for the bigger females in the springtime, but other times of year, it really don't matter to me. So whatever I'm catching, as long as it's a good keeper fish. But I know we've brought up before the black dot by the butthole, and I don't know if that was really during
it's a true thing at Grenada. The Grenada is the only place in the spring at Grenada is the only place I've seen that work. Oops. I don't know why that place, but it did work. But there's actually a dot on their gill if you pay attention to, especially in the spring.
Yep.
But I've noticed that you can tell the gill plate has that black dot, and the really dark ones are male, and then the females have a lighter black dot. You can tell when they're all laying on the table, and it's batting pretty dang good. Trying to guess when they're on the table like that. The darker the black dot on the gill, the male, and then the lighter it'd be the female. But I mean,
Eric,
really,
state fishing guy, he said he's catching. Let's see here. Let me pull it up here. Catching mainly on brush in creek channels. Interesting thing is that you only catch 3 to 4 real quick out of a school. Move on after that. He's thinking that the females are just feeding up quicker and more aggressive than the males, and that could be possible on his lake.
Mm-hmm. What's your biggest crappie, Kayle?
I
don't know how many people's called you Kyle today on comments, but everybody, it is Kayle. Bless your heart.
It takes a spell like Kayle. So, but last year you called these meats.
It wrong.
The leaks that weighed 360 on Crappie Master scales.
That's a hammer.
That's a hammer.
That's a hammerhead for sure. Actually, I think was that at
the elite. Yeah, you follow elite.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Yep. I remember that one.
Actually, I just got that fish. I actually had that fish mounted. I sent it to Rodney Harper. I just got him like a week or two ago back.
Awesome. Yeah. And you don't even have him in the background of the video. Come on, man.
I used to have a bunch of fish mounts. I still got a bunch of my trophies and stuff right up here. But my wife's been telling me it's about time for all of my fish stuff to find a new room. She's telling me that 2025 is here, and all the 23 trophies has got to go.
Man, that's tough. Yeah, all my stuff still since we moved is all up in a box, and she ain't really ever talked about pulling it down. So looks like it's gonna stay up there a while.
I don't know. Obviously, I ain't got as many as a lot of guys, but I'm pretty. The trophies hold a spot in my heart. I feel like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears come into them. So
a lot of sacrificing.
JR, he's catching a Pickwick Dam crappie. His fishing is hot, pitching minnow and a slip cork, also pitching monkey milk, still in 10 to 12 foot of water. Seems as the cooler it gets, the better the bite is. Wintertime, such a great time to crappie fish. And, you think of January and February, but I know the biggest fish that I can recall catching is typically in the later part of January and definitely in February. I've seen them on these lakes, even in central Mississippi, some of the smaller lakes, they'll start spawning in mid-January here. Even, you get 4 or 5 good days of warm weather, you need to start checking some of the shallow, especially these oxbow lakes that are, you know, the deepest part, 6, 7 foot deep. Those fish will spawn extremely early, and I'm talking January. So some of our spawn fishing can start literally in 4 to 6 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Richard Crawford asked, "Do I run the old river channel on the lake like Grand, where the water is so deep around all around it?" Oh, asking all of us. Would you run an old river channel on the lake at Grand where the water is so deep all around it? Like, so we have a lot of channel that's like 60 to 120 foot deep.
Yeah, and that's I mean, no, that would be similar like Texoma. I don't know where them fish go. Good question. I live on the lake, cut my teeth fishing it, and from about November 1st till about April 1st, other than when I find them every once in a while on some 40-foot deep structure, I have no idea where them fish go.
Man, I think they go super deep, like
Well,
unworldly deep.
you know, our river channels, they're anywhere from, I mean, up on the far end of the lake. You know, it's a big lake, you know, 80,000 acres.
Yeah.
So we're talking 15, 20 miles up the lake from the dam. The middle of the river channel is still 60 foot deep.
Yeah.
And then the flats are 30 outside are 30, 40, 50 foot deep. So I think they just roam and go wherever they want to. And it's like finding a needle in a haystack on those lakes. The lakes that to me set up great for winter fishing, at least, are the ones that got it's a relatively shallower lake, you know, 15, 30 foot, and got a defined creek channel that runs down the middle of it. And majority of them lakes typically have structure on the creek channel, you know, Fork, Lake of the Pines, Bodark, Hugo. And then the next pattern, if you don't want to fish most of these lakes, and it's happening, you follow right now, one of the probably 90% of the guys, there's big enough creeks that you can get a boat in, go up the creek. A lot of these fish will stack up in these creeks and roam or get on a little structure, and they're going to be a lot shallower fish typically, but the creeks will just stack up with fish. I mean, a lot of these Texas lakes are the same way. We have the feeder creeks. They're loaded with crappie. I can't get a big boat to them, but kayak guys and everything else that can get a boat, I mean, they're wearing them fish out right now. But most of it's either silted in where I can't get a big boat, or low water, or it's just not accessible by a big boat. So I don't get to fish a lot of them. I do from time to time, but the creeks is a great place to catch them. If your lake has a creek that you can actually get up in the feeder creeks, typically they got crappie in.
For sure.
Jackie, I see your question, and I think I see your question, but I'll scroll back through it, and if I missed your question, please post it again. But he's saying, what's the pattern? And I'm not sure what the pattern is, so I'm not really sure about the question, more or less. But also, I see Marty, he caught a 240 white crappie that was a male on Sunday. Huge fish, and he released it.
That's
awesome.
a monster.
That's a big one, especially a big old male. We got a few
And
more minutes, so if you got any questions, please hit it real quick. We're gonna get off here in 4 or 5 minutes. Got 244 likes, thumbs up, guys. If you can hit that for us, and we'll maybe hit 250 tonight, would be awesome. We need 6 more people to hit that like button. See if you can help us out, guys.
Oh, it's gonna happen. I'd take a bet because I just liked it. Did you see me on there, Brad?
No.
Yeah, this is a good time of year to catch those giants for sure. It's getting close to having the fish as big as they're going to get here in the next month or two. And that is a good time. I've let some go this year that's going to be some monsters.
What color scheme are you running on your LiveScope, Kayle?
Amber.
Amber.
Just a plain Jane amber.
Old factory amber.
Yep. I've played around and I've tried it, and my eyes are used to seeing ambers, what I started with, and
yeah,
why change it if it ain't broke? So
that's what I typically run day in and day out. I played with, was it Black Emerald, ran it for a while, Midnight, I believe. But I went back to amber. I just kind of like, you got so used to it, and it just
I run Black Emerald. I'm still stuck on the Black Emerald, but I like all the colors. It's most comfortable with it. Carlos has a question for us. What's y'all's favorite lake to fish? Each one of you. That's a good one. Man, Kayle, you got to know off the top, right?
Man, man, I don't, probably my favorite lake. I mean, this is just, I'm biased. I fish it all the time, but probably one of my favorite lakes for numbers and quality day in and day out, Hugo Lake.
Wow. Thought you were going to say Lake Fork.
I was guessing.
No, I mean, Fork's probably got the upper hand on forest quality and stuff, but I can go put numbers of this real similar quality twice as fast as you can at Fork, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, as far as numbers and good sized fish, I can't really mention the one I really, really hands down like.
There's
a ton of little lakes or honey holes or secret spots. They're all great too. But as far as big lakes that I got on that I fish, it's probably one of my favorite.
Gosh, that's tough.
I mean, I'm gonna say of all time. I don't know about current conditions, but of course that's where my cabin is. Day in and day out, if I think about crappie fishing and really cutting my teeth through the years, it's gonna be Lake Washington. At one time it had huge fish in it, and just the scenery of it as well. Big cypress trees and cypress swamps on the edge. It's just such a beautiful place, and that kind of comes to play.
Yeah, that comes into play on a good one. I'll tell you one that it may not be my favorite, but it's one of my favorite trips and that I've been on, and it was an amazing scenery and caught both really good black and white fish. Was Broken Bow Lake in Oklahoma. I'll give you that one. That was a blast. Way up in the river. The water was up. The river was muddy, but it's huge mountain country, gorgeous. There was fog lifting off the lake, and I bet I caught 80 to 100 fish over a pound and a half. So that was an absolute blast. So that's a really fun, awesome lake. That's kind of an off-the-wall lake too.
Billy, we probably answered some of these questions, but he's asking, fishing a big river system like Pickwick, would you focus on river channels or get back in the big creek channels? Lots of rain lately, so current will be moving good. Billy, I'm gonna look for those eddies out of the current. I'm gonna look somewhere that has deep water, depth that those fish want to be in, but it's going to be in a comfortable current situation for them. And usually, if you can find them this time of year, they're going to be stacked in there. So look for areas that offer protection from current, that it's not blowing through, but also in that deep depth of water that they're seeking. So if I've been catching them in, let's say, 12 to 16 foot of water, I'm going to look for 12 to 16 foot of water, but out of that current system. But I love current, especially this time of year. Not really in the spring, be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, David Wilbert, he says, what color's been hot for you guys in the winter so far? Mine is blue ice with a hot pink head. So if you go to Grand Lake anytime during the winter, that's my go-to color. So we can get along there, David. I love blue ice with a pink head. That's a killer color.
I run natural colors 99% of the time. Shad don't change colors. And I mean, just day in and day out, if I could just reach and pick one, I'm going to pick a blue ice or a live minnow or a monkey minnow majority of the time. And I don't know, other than spring, I will run a pink and orange head. Other than spring, maybe March and April, I run a silver unpainted head the rest of the time. I keep it simple. Yeah. Even if I'm going to run a pink and chartreuse bait, I'm going to run a unpainted head. So,
this color here, Kayle, I don't know if you've used this color, but if not, you need to definitely try it. I see you liking it. But this has been a really good wintertime color for me over really the last couple of years. And Dustin, let's see. Can you name it?
I actually have some in the boat, but I don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
Blue Chrome.
Blue Chrome.
Blue Chrome, yeah.
It's been just a dynamic wintertime color for me over the last couple of years. And
you know why? It has double silver rainbow.
They need to have it in the Slab Hunter.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's because it has a double silver rainbow belly is why that one works so good.
It's in the stroller, and also that's the swimmer right here, and also the baby shad carries it in the blue chrome.
Boy.
That is a slab catcher right there as well. Guys, well, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody for watching tonight. Like I said,
Kayle,
next
I
week
appreciate
will
it.
be Monday night. Got 300 likes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you
Yeah.
have not hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so as well. Thumbs up. Got a new podcast that went out last week with a biologist over in Arkansas, Lake Chico. Very, very good biologist that's doing a great job that I can tell over there. Also, hit that follow button on Facebook. Tell your friends about us. Invite some folks. Let's get this party going, and we'll see you guys next week, Monday night. Thank you, Kayle, for coming on here as always.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
guys.
much. Appreciate it. You bet. You guys take it easy.
Y'all have a good one.
Holla.